Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're opening up a really fascinating stack of research. It's all focused on complementary medicine.
Specifically herbal preparations and their role in supporting fertility, which is just a huge topic.
It is. So what we really want to dig into is how these, traditional methods might actually integrate with conventional Western treatments, things like IVF.
And potentially enhance them. That's the key because, we know that infertility affects about, 15% of couples worldwide. It's a huge number.
A huge number. And people are, they're looking for every possible advantage.
Exactly. They're seeking tools that go beyond just amplifying hormonal signals. They want to address the underlying physiological environment, build a solid foundation for success.
And that phrase, physiological environment, that's really at the heart of what we're looking at. The sources we have, they get into some really specific biological mechanisms.
Yeah, things like blood flow, antioxidant action.
Right. And how these herbal preparations aim to improve outcomes in, well, four really distinct areas of the reproductive process.
And we should be clear, we're moving past just anecdotes here. We're actually looking at data from randomized controlled trials, from meta-analyses.
Which is so important.
It is, and they suggest these herbal mixes can play a really supportive role, improving egg quality, the uterine lining, and, even boosting pregnancy rates and reducing miscarriage.
So it really does raise this big question. Can optimizing the body's own conditions, the blood flow, the cellular protection, can that make the high-tech procedures we rely on work even better?
The research seems to be pointing in that direction, yeah.
Okay, so let's unpack this. And I think we can start at the very beginning, at the most fundamental level, right?
The egg itself.
The quality of the egg.
The quality of the oocyte, yeah. It is the absolute foundation. If you don't have that, nothing else matters. But that quality is often compromised.
By things like age, which we all know about, or certain medical conditions.
Right, like diminished ovarian reserve. It basically means the ovaries are aging faster than they should. And when that quality drops, you get fewer successful fertilizations.
Yeah.
Or you get embryos that they don't thrive.
A lot of conventional treatments focus on the quantity, right? Let's get more eggs. But what are these herbs actually doing at a cellular level to protect the quality that's already there?
Well, this is what's so fascinating. It's this kind of dual action. The first thing is powerful antioxidant protection.
Okay.
So think of the egg cell as being, it's constantly under attack from these things called reactive oxygen species. We just call it oxidative stress.
So is oxidative stress kind of like cellular rust? Is that a fair analogy?
That is a great analogy, yeah. It's
Yeah.
damage from unstable molecules. And these herbal preparations, they provide natural compounds, things like polyphenols, flavonoids, that are really potent antioxidants.
So they're like cellular bodyguards.
They are. They neutralize those unstable molecules and basically shield the egg's delicate DNA from that rust. And this protection is just crucial for viability, especially as eggs get older.
Okay, so if the egg is protected from that internal damage, it has a better shot. What's the second part of that dual action?
The second part is about the environment where the egg actually matures. So these herbs have been shown to help balance key hormones, yes, but more importantly, they enhance microcirculation.
Blood flow.
They increase blood flow directly to the ovaries.
And why is that so critical for a developing follicle?
Because better blood flow means better delivery of, everything. Oxygen, hormones, all the micronutrients that developing egg needs to become strong and healthy.
So a well-nourished egg is a strong egg.
It's a strong cell, yeah. One that can handle fertilization and that really intense early division process.
It sounds like you're optimizing the factory itself, not just trying to speed up the assembly line.
That's a perfect way to put it, and we have some really compelling evidence here.
Right, that meta-analysis.
Yes. It looked at 20 different trials with over 1,700 women who were all going through IVF. And it was clear. When the herbal preparations were added into their protocol, the women got significantly more high-quality embryos.
And better fertilization rates.
But
the thing that I found most interesting, and this really speaks to the safety of it, is that all of this happened without increasing the common risks you see with fertility drugs.
That is the key distinction. Exactly. We didn't see a rise in things like ovarian overstimulation syndrome.
Which is a huge deal.
It's a huge deal. And it strongly suggests that the herbs aren't acting like a high-dose drug, forcing the system. They're enhancing the body's own signaling, its own cellular health. It's supportive, not forceful.
That sets the stage perfectly for the next hurdle then, which is implantation. Because you can have the best egg in the world, But if the landing pad isn't ready.
The whole cycle is at risk.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the uterine lining.
Yeah.
The endometrium.
The endometrium, yeah. It has to be thick, stable, receptive. If it's too thin, which can be a side effect of poor blood supply or hormonal issues, implantation rates just plummet.
And miscarriage risk goes up.
And miscarriage risk goes up.
So how do these herbs create what some of the studies call a calmer environment for that embryo to attach?
The main mechanism is targeted vascularization, so building and enhancing blood vessels. The compounds in these herbs promote better, more robust blood circulation directly to the uterus.
And that flow delivers everything needed to build up that thick lining.
Precisely. And you mentioned something specific from the research about reduced resistance in the uterine arteries.
I did. What does that actually mean? Physically, reduced resistance.
It means the blood is flowing more freely, there's no bottleneck, high resistance, it kind of starves the lining of resources. But when you lower that resistance, the blood flows easily, and the lining isn't just thicker, it's healthier, it's better oxygenated.
So it's about the quality of the delivery system, not just the quantity of the tissue.
That's it. And at the same time, these herbs are also shown to reduce low-grade inflammation in the reproductive tissues.
Which can be a trigger for the body to reject an embryo. Right.
It can act as an immune signal to do exactly that. So by calming that down, you're making the whole area much more hospitable. Plus, you get that hormonal support for estrogen and progesterone, which keeps the lining stable.
And when you look at the clinical results, what did the trials actually show?
They consistently showed measurable increases in endometrial thickness and, really significant improvements in those blood flow metrics we just talked about.
That reduced resistance.
So these are objective physiological changes, not just feelings. And they are critical factors for a successful IVF cycle.
Okay, so this brings us to the big so what question. If you put it all together, the healthier eggs, the better lining, this calmer environment, how much does it actually move the needle on clinical outcomes?
This is where you see the cumulative benefit of that systemic support. It really, really shines.
I mean, there was one statistic in here that it completely stopped me in my tracks.
I think I know which one you mean. The data is, it's hard to ignore. A major meta-analysis looking at a bunch of randomized trials found that clinical pregnancy rates literally doubled. Doubled from around 36% in the IVF-only group to a striking 53% when the herbs were added.
That's a profound change. I mean, for a process that is so emotionally and financially draining, doubling the odds is it's a fundamental shift.
It is. And it wasn't just limited to IVF either. There was another big study, over 4,000 women, and it found that pregnancy rates increased by about 1.7 times with the herbal support over a 3 to 6 month period.
So it points to this idea of promoting a greater state of overall reproductive wellness. It's not just a one-shot fix.
Exactly. Which leads us right into our final and I think really critical area. Stabilization. We're talking about preventing miscarriage.
This is huge. For anyone who has gone through recurrent pregnancy loss, it's just devastating. And the causes are often so complex.
They are. And the stabilization mechanisms here are really compelling.
So how do these preparations help to, hold a pregnancy once it's started?
It seems to be a two-pronged approach. First, they help bolster hormone levels, especially progesterone, which is absolutely critical for maintaining that early pregnancy and supporting the placenta.
And the second prong, I'm guessing, goes back to blood flow.
It goes right back to our vascularization theme. They significantly improve blood supply to both the uterus and that developing placenta. You're basically making sure the lifeline to the fetus is strong and stable.
And that means a consistent flow of oxygen and nutrients.
Right, which reduces stress on the whole system. And they also continue to manage inflammation, calming down those immune responses that might otherwise trigger a loss.
And the numbers here, again, are just incredible.
Yeah.
The metrics on miscarriage reduction are very powerful.
They are. A massive meta-analysis. This one had 57 trials, almost 6,000 women. It showed that combining herbal treatments with standard care increased pregnancy continuation rates by about 20%.
20% is a big improvement. But what about the preterm birth data? That was wild.
That was maybe the most surprising finding. The combination treatment actually halved the rate of preterm birth.
Did.
halved it, which suggests the stabilizing effect isn't just about the first few weeks. It contributes to a more robust pregnancy environment for the long haul.
Reducing preterm birth by half is an enormous achievement in maternal fetal medicine. It says so much about the stability being offered here.
And for those dealing specifically with recurrent miscarriage, another review of 41 trials showed higher live birth rates, up to a 31% improvement by enhancing embryonic and placental health.
And it's so important for you, the listener, to know that across all this research, the safety profile looked really strong. The studies kept suggesting no increased adverse effects.
Which is non-negotiable, right? Safety first. And that lack of increased risk just further validates the role of these herbs as a supportive complement, not some kind of high-risk intervention.
So to wrap this all up, this has been an incredibly informative deep dive. We've really established these 4 pillars of support: better egg quality, a more receptive uterine lining, that amazing boost to pregnancy rates, and finally, stabilization to help prevent miscarriage.
And while the evidence is definitely encouraging, I mean, those are some big effect sizes.
Yeah.
We do have to add the critical caveat.
The quality of the studies.
The quality of the studies. Many of them were, moderate. They had small sample sizes, potential biases. It's not perfect.
So we need larger, more rigorous, higher quality trials to really solidify these findings.
Exactly. The goal is to move this into the world of integrated medicine, and that requires the highest level of scientific proof.
And of course, for anyone listening, this is not medical advice. Any decision like this has to be made in consultation with your healthcare providers.
Absolutely. This knowledge is to help you have a better conversation with them. And for those interested in looking at these studies themselves, you can find more information at www.berkeleycenter.com.
And as we close out, here's a provocative thought for you to consider. If all this evidence shows that targeting systemic functions, improving blood flow, cellular health, hormonal balance all at once, can double success rates and slash outcomes like preterm birth, well, so should medicine start to prioritize that? Should we be maximizing the body's entire physiological environment before we jump to singular high-force interventions? It does raise a big question for the future of fertility treatment.